Hey there, traders. This is Christian Primer. It's Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Monday. And well, this should be a little bit of a shorter video tonight. So we'll do a couple different things tonight because it was really a very tight range that the indices traded in. And also, when you look at sectors, not a lot of big movers. Most of all the sectors today have traded inside 1%, either plus or minus. I see the majority of sectors either like down 35 basis points, and then you have a few of them that were up. XME metals and mining were up 1%, and then you've got like a handful of different groups. I've got a watch list of about 45 different sector or subgroup ETFs, and there's a handful. The robotics ETF was up another 20 basis points. Chinese internets actually woke up a little bit today. They were up at 1.1, close to 1%. They finished up about 60 basis points. Junior gold miners also finished up the same. So I have up here volume, which I don't show every day, but just to kind of give you a glimpse. SPY traded about 40% less than it normally does today versus average 30-day volume. Traded 46 million shares that normally trades 72 million shares. Just to kind of give you an idea, this is the biggest volume of the day in terms of ETFs. EEM traded about a third of less than it trades. Same thing with XLF, only traded 40 million shares, normally trades 71 million shares. So the volume was really quiet, and it kind of shows that there wasn't much going on in international markets either. Europe was half of Europe was closed. So S&P down 10 basis points. Same thing, we talked about in this weekend's newsletter, talked about the fact that the Qs are a bit overbought. Maybe they'll kind of, well, I guess they're not going to really come off of overbought levels with down 8 basis points, but you could see the candle for today. Small caps gave back some of their outperformance from last week. They actually fell right around into the value area, so I think that'll be what I'm most concerned about for tomorrow. Let's see if I can get that level for you. I think it's basically 139. So right where we closed, give or take a penny or two. Keep an eye on that. Whoa, this is all screwed up. Let's see if I can get that back. I'll go to the 10-year chart. That should do it. But basically, that's what you want to watch, or one of the things that you want to keep an eye on. Real nice outperformance last week for small caps. Let's see if they can put 2 weeks together. Clearly not today. They closed on the lows, down 60 basis points. Kind of came back midday, but finished on the lows. Market breadth really wasn't telling me to kind of chase names. We talked about this in the trading room today. When the market breadth, which you could see was all negative, half the day it was worse than that. It actually got a little bit better as the day went on. But when we see option activity and we see a lot of aggressive orders, sometimes when there's good momentum in the market, you're okay with chasing a little bit and maybe paying up a little bit over what paper played, or what the investor or the trader traded the original option trade. But when there's a lack of momentum, when the momentum is and the market breadth is kind of poor for the day, you can kind of sit back and see if you can get into better prices for some of the trades. And I think that was more or less today. You could do that with a couple of things that we saw on the tape. So I'm really not going to go into too many charts, because just things didn't really move, and there's not much to really talk about. Amazon continued to move up 10-11 right now. I actually took profits on a trade that I've been long for probably at least a few weeks now, just to kind of show you what we did today in the trading room. So exits, Amazon. This was the June 959.70 call spread. Sold that for 14.30. So we've been putting on a lot of these trades that have been working out really well. Sold for 14.30, paid 5.40. So I just have a one lot left of this trade. I'll try to get 15 bucks, considering it's way through the upper strike. But I figure, I'm not going to wait another 9 days for another, 70 bucks per option trade. But man, a couple of these trades that we put on have just been just crushing it with these trades. Also took a quick target on a trade I put on Friday. Went long a little bit of BABA call spread. Xilinx. That one turned out to be a heck of a winner. Just kind of trading a little bit, trying to get out a little bit of my semi exposure. I've got a lot of, I've got a few different names that I'm long in the semi space. I'm almost out of Micron. I want to be out of Micron, before they report earnings. But that one I've been taking profit targets the last couple weeks. Cypress out of this one, nice winner as well. So again, just reducing a little bit of exposure. I think Nasdaq is a little bit overbought, and I want to. I think that the market we might get an opportunity for the market to come in a little bit. So I want to have some cash on the side. So I'm still definitely long. I said this weekend as well. I'm still definitely long, but I want to have a little bit extra cash in case we get a little bit of. I think we've had a really nice run going back to like the Nasdaq chart. I think we've had a beautiful run. But the market ebbs and flows. So if we end up coming back and we get maybe a down 50 basis point or down 1% day in the Qs, I want to have a little ammo. So hence taking off a little bit more trades. Home Depot, I put on this trade on Friday. I actually added to a little bit today. So on a little bit of a down day, we'll see what it does here. I'm looking for this thing to get back to the highs. That's basically my thought process in that. K-Webs, I put on a trade in the beginning of last week. The China internet name, one of the most, one of the best performing groups year to date. And I figure on a dip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight red candles. So I went into this right in here towards the end of last week. Actually, on these two red candles, excuse me. So I'm actually back to flat in that trade. Trade was a little bit underwater for one day, I think. So I'm also looking for this to get back to the high. So like I said, I do have some trades on, but also taking some trades off just to take a little bit of profits and have that ammo ready. I'll go over today's aggressive call activity. So um, just because there wasn't very much movement in the indices and in sectors today, you can see there's a full list of option trades today. There was a lot of weekly stuff. I would say that if you look at how many trades were either this week, like AMD, they tattooed this week's June calls. Could be because Nvidia had a really nice day. Sometimes AMD gets a little bit of a follow through when Nvidia is pretty strong. I mean, Nvidia up another $4 and new 52-week high today. So AMD, there was a weekly call buyer. Keep an eye on this name. Maybe it gets to the top of value. That's 1163, which is up about up about another 40 cents from here before it hits resistance. So keep an eye on that. They went after the 11 and a half calls this week. 19,000 of those that traded today. So while there was a lot of short-term stuff, there was a couple interesting trades, like the Google was a pretty good trade just for this week. There was also some gap this week. Also Fastenal. There's no weeklies for Fastenal, but Fastenal does report. Microchip, by the way, after hours, I think had some good guidance that came out unscheduled. Let me go to the events page on Bloomberg, and I'll show you what I mean. If we could get this to work, if I see sales results, Fastenal is one of those companies that has monthly sales results. So I think they're buying some calls ahead of this, which is tomorrow morning. So we'll see how they do. I actually purchased a couple of these calls because they went in several times today, and two different strikes in Fastenal and swept. So we'll see if they know something. June 46 calls they bought. They also bought the 45 calls as well for 70 cents in the beginning of the day. Look at this one. This one went up right in the last minute of the day. So I don't know. Maybe somebody knows something about Fastenal May sales and revenue results. We'll see that tomorrow morning. So like I said, I did buy a couple of these for like right around 33 cents, the June 46s. We'll see, not a bad trade. Also put on a THO trade for earnings. Looks like that one's going to work out pretty nice. THO. Really like this chart. I mean, this was the last time they reported earnings, and the thing just fell apart. I think it ran up a little bit too much. It's my personal take from the last time it reported earnings was at a 52-week high at 115, and the thing basically got squashed and never really came back from 115 all the way down to 93. So, a good 25% drop right on the 200-day moving average. So I gave this a shot. I actually went out to July and I did the 100-105 call spread. So looking pretty good in this earnings trade. So like I said, kind of a quiet day today. A couple other trades that were interesting. XYL, we saw some July 55 calls to get away from the weekly stuff, just to look at some of the trades that went out a little bit further. CRM, really nice couple trades that went up in Salesforce. August, 92 and a half calls. Then they also traded some calls versus puts, where it looks like they bought the 105 calls and they sold, I think it was the 75 strike puts in Salesforce. So a couple bullish trades, some going out to January, some going out to August. So that was interesting to me. Also, there's where is it? Should be in here someplace. Um, Not restoration hard. Here it is. WHR Whirlpool 1500 the Jan 190 calls. This was a really big trade, guys. This was, if you look at the price that these went up for 25 bucks, you're looking at a total premium, if I can find it here. Premium $3.7 million. So no small trade going out to January, not this January, but next January. What else on the longer side? I thought this trade was also interesting. PTCT. There's a lot of the companies. I'm not sure if this one has any data that comes out in the ASCO conference. PCTC. Did I do that wrong? I did do that wrong. Was it PTCT? Maybe that's it. There we go. Take a look at this company. This is pretty interesting here. Take a step back in this one. They bought the 18 strikes. If you look at a 5-year chart, you can see this was once a $70 stock. So they did go out and they gave this one plenty of time in this one, PTCC. They went into December 18. This was the strike was interesting in this one, because if you look at the daily chart, you can see I've got a VPOC up here someplace. There it is, right at 18 bucks. So this was where a lot of buyers and sellers have met up previously, right around that price. Looks like that's an average price, but you can see prices never returned here. So 1782 is right around that 18 strike. So kind of looks like an interesting trade. Notice that the price is back above the 200-day moving average. So I think worthy of a shot, in my opinion. Dollar Tree, we also saw some July calls go up there. And what else? A little bit of gap calls this week. Well, interesting, we saw Micron calls in the beginning of the day, and then we saw a little bit of weekly puts go up. Both the calls that went up right off the bat in the beginning of the day were weeklies, and then there was also some weekly puts that went up on the high of the day. Someone just asked me on Twitter, they're like, "Oh, so we could expect a short-term pullback in Micron for the rest of the week?" I'm like, well, first of all, it already came in about 50 cents from the highs, but you know, option activity, you have to just kind of take with a grain of salt. Just because somebody buys puts doesn't mean the stock is going down. Sometimes people think that, and it's a really good gauge of what somebody is necessarily doing. It doesn't mean it's going to push the stock. So it did. They bought these puts right at the highs of the day, and it did go all the way down. So maybe somebody quickly profited on a move that they thought Micron was getting a little bit too ahead of themselves. But I find this funny. You just encounter a lot of people on Twitter, or a lot of traders, that just because somebody buys calls or buys puts, it doesn't necessarily means the stock is going to go up or the stock is going to go down. You never know what they know, and you never know. It's just, it's one of those things that it's got to be a collective. You have to take a collective approach, right? You can't obviously take every trade that goes up on the tape, and not every trade is going to work. If someone buys something a little bit more aggressively, sure, maybe they have an axe to do something. They have some conviction to buy. Maybe they do know something, but it doesn't work out that way every time. You have to trade within your model. So if the trade meets your, if you're day trading, it's one thing, and you see aggressive put or call buyer go up, but if you're a long-term holder, you kind of take this in more of a mosaic view and say, well, there's both puts and calls that went up. And where did they go up? One went up on the low of the day, one went up on the high of the day. That's it. So what else? A couple put orders in some banks, Zion, some Schwab, also some puts went up. They also have monthly sales numbers that comes out. And then on the ETF side, we saw a little bit of short-dated puts in biotech, maybe a hedge for the conference. And then a big block at EFA September 68 calls, which EFA has just been a beast. International Developed Markets, I talk about them every week. They saw another big week of inflows last week. and they also saw more inflows than EFA saw the highest inflow of any ETF in May. So now somebody's playing in options as well. So that's it for today's video. Have a great night. See you back Tuesday morning. Thank you.